Welcome to Piano Technique Podcast. This is episode 3 and my name is Jovan Haji-Djurich. I'm joined by Alan Fraser, creator of Craft of Piano Playing Method and master teacher of Alan Fraser Piano Institutes. This week we're talking about Alan's new book, 4th book. We're also talking about what Alan has been up to, his teaching, traveling, his work with Kemal Gekic, his presentations in Scotland, and Skype lessons as well. For more information on Alan, please visit alanfraser.net or alanfraserinstitute.com. And to learn more about me and my project, pianotechnique.org, please visit www.pianotechnique.org. It is a unique service for pianists built by pianists. We upload lessons, lectures, and various other piano technique related content. Make sure to check it out.
I guess most important or basically foremost in my mind these days is my 4th book, which was originally called Transforming the Pianistic Self-Image, but because people said that that would confuse it with my 2nd book, Honing the Pianistic Self-Image, it's now Playing the Piano with Your Whole Self.
Nice.
And I'm very excited about this book because it's taking many of the themes from previous books and tying them together in a new way and going further and deepening the argument. So my first book talked a lot about the structure of the hand and the arches of the hand and how much inherent potential there was in that structure. And then the 2nd book addressed the fact that people tend to over-structuralize the arch of the hand and render it like very solid and therefore useless in playing. So I talked a lot about unstable equilibrium, the hand coming to a totally structural state and yet totally free, able to move in any direction. And then in the 3rd book, I realized that a lot of pianists are actually kind of stressed out because they came to that standing position on the piano too soon. And so I started with more of these exercises for lying the hand down into the keys and touching the palm to the keys and basically giving the hand the same sort of experience that a baby has in the year before it comes to stand. So that all these basic movements of the hand, basic flexion, basic extension, which we use to play the piano, can be learned in a stress-free environment. And so in my 4th book, I actually talk more overtly about the whole process of an infant, how it learns development, and how it learns movement, how the various paradigms of movement develop in the infant, and how we can apply that to the hand at the piano. And so it's basically, and the other thing that comes across with this is that how arm weight technique was a kind of a valiant attempt to address this kind of ill-at-ease quality that which we all have at the piano, and how it was a misdirected attempt. So it goes even further into understanding how the hand on the keyboard is the same as a human body in life. We walk, we stand up, we run, we jump, we hop, and all these things we do in the field of gravity. And the hand does the same. And when you allow the hand to behave like that, then arm weight is nowhere in the equation. Just as our bodies, the torso, we do not experience the weight of our torso as we walk down the street. If we did, we'd be walking in a very clumsy fashion.
Yeah.
So this book, I'm hoping that you'll agree with me that it's the clearest and farthest reaching analysis of the basic functional structural aspect of the hand on the keys and applying it to musical situations. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Everything that I'm doing, I talk a lot about this or that aspect of movement, but it always applies to the sonority of a single note, the sonority of a phrase, the sonority of a harmony, the quality of the rhythmic impulse, the vitality, the élan that you can bring to it. So it's really opening up a whole new approach to interpretation, where interpretation does not mean imposing your ideas so much as plumbing the ideas that are inherent in the music and bringing them out in a natural way and then shaping them to some extent. But it's all organic and it's all proactive, let's say. So the new book, and the other exciting thing about the new book is I was flying from Reykjavik to Minneapolis last year to present at the Minnesota Music Teachers Association, and there's this guy sitting next to me on the plane. We got to talking. He's in education. He's done some editing himself. He's retired. So to make a long story short, he is now editing the fourth book, and we're working very hard.
Wow.
Improving my writing skills, because I'm a musician. I'm not a writer, and he's been a great help. So that this is another way in which I'm hoping this book will be the best one and the most readable one and the most useful one to all the pianists who are going to acquire it.
That's amazing, yeah.
So that's why it's not out yet, because Jim and I have been hard at work honing the language and changing even the structure. There are going to be a lot more sidebars in the book to make the lessons in the book clear, to make the instructions clearer, and the dancing back forth between theory and practice.
Sidebars, you mean as like
a sidebar, like a little box going down the side of the page with commentary on the
commentary.
Yeah. Oh. So this is very, very exciting, but I still hope to have the book out by the summer. I hope for a mid-May release date, and so we'll keep you posted.
Great. Yeah, absolutely. Nice.
Now, about this whole arm weight thing, my daughter is in music school in Belgrade, and every once in a while she has to do these informal concert presentations where the students go through their program, and there's kids from grade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up through middle school. So I'm watching these little kids play, and it's the old Russian school where the arm moves down on every note, and they go dum 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 like this, and there's this tremendous kind of sense of a strong elastic structure in every note, and like musically, in a way, I've always found it's kind of horrible because every note is overdefined and there's no phrasing. But I was watching these little kids, and I'm thinking, my God, but they get something from that. There must have been some reason for that way of teaching developing.
The structure, right?
Well, they feel secure. When you're a little kid and you've never played the piano before, then you want to feel secure. So, to my mind, this may not be the best way, but actually it turns out it's a very good way, because for the first 2 years, I felt that this is a plus, that actually they're gaining more than they're losing from this approach. It's like, let's get that structure secure on every single note we play. The sound was clear. They're playing more advanced pieces than most kids in the West would play after that much training.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
So I'm sitting there thinking, okay, so how far is this going to go? How many years we have to go into their training before this becomes a liability? And it started at year 3. So the third-year students and the fourth-year students are already playing pieces that are a little more difficult. They're going rakka-tikka-tikka-tikka-da. They're faster passage work, and they're still trying to put weight into every one of those 16th notes. And it's beginning to not work. And then I'm going all the way up through the 6 years of elementary school and the 4 years of high school, and the teachers never stop teaching the students that way. It's like, just keep imposing that way. So
interesting. Yeah, I went through that myself.
Yeah. So the Russian people that I work with, I have to repair that. I have to address that and stop them using their hand as a solid structure. But I now realize that there is a positive value in it at the beginning. So I'm not so likely to dismiss it out of hand, but realize that, okay, this is actually a good strategy, but it's just been overused, and they didn't know when to move on to another strategy. So it's a very different situation from working with somebody who's trained in the West, who never had that, and whose hand is just basically sort of jelly. How do you think?
What would you do to, like, let's say after 2 or 3 years of education, what would you do to What other strategies would you
But,
use
but
to?
it's so easy to change. I mean, look at the way Kemal plays. He uses that structure, but it's always
Yeah.
flying. It's always moving. All you have to do
It's
is
elastic.
lighten up the forearm and use a little bit more hand activity. So it's very clear that the activity, the contractions, the muscular contractions in the hand are to move the key and to move the hand, not to stabilize the structure. And it just takes a very, very slight adjustment of where you perceive your forearm in space. Just float the forearm a little bit, and already you're not compressing the hand into the keys anymore, but you're moving, you're running. It's very easy to do, but you have to have the presence of mind to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had one lesson where you talked about it. I'm gonna put it in show notes where you exactly explain what's going on. So I published it like a week ago. So yeah, good stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
So now in my recent institutes, I did an institute in Montreal, France. Now, I'm from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, but it turns out that there are no fewer than 6 villages scattered through France named Montréal. So we went to one in Burgundy, and we just had the time of our lives. We lived in this medieval house next to a medieval barn that's been converted into a space, a concert space, with a lovely Blüthner piano. Just a old, but silver patina. So much sweetness in the sonority. You can't believe.
You posted a picture. I saw it.
Yes, right. I posted a couple of pictures on Facebook. I did. And the guys who own this place, it's an English couple, Graham and Christina Batty. And Christina's a great cook, and Graham's a pianist, an amateur pianist. So it's this wonderful work situation. And I had a lady who's of Czech origin, but who grew up in New Brunswick, Canada, and now living in France, come for a lesson. And she brought her daughters, and she brought some other friends who were singers, actually. So I was actually working with singers as well. And this was really very productive work. Just to mention that although it's pianotechnique.org, and I'm working basically with pianists, that as a Feldenkrais practitioner who's in music performance, I'm very excited to work with other performing musicians, instrumentalists and singers, and I find with the body organization that we're using to improve our piano playing can also be applied to improving instrumental and vocal performance. So these sessions were very exciting, and I had a great time there. Then after that I flew to Miami. This is in mid-January. Flew to Miami and had 5 days with Kemal Gekic. And we spent time discussing everything under the sun and musical structure, musical style, very little on technique. And I played for him, and he worked on my sound as always. And I found that although I know a great deal about how to organize my hand, he's always demanding more. So I have to do a completely different kind of integration there to achieve the sound he wants than I would do on my own. So it's always great to work with him because he just pushes the envelope. And it was very, very fruitful for me. And he actually, although he generally doesn't teach technique at all, when I get to the piano bench, he can't resist, and he ends up giving me an Alan Fraser lesson that is better than Alan Fraser's lesson. But it's very performance-oriented, and it's very strong. There's almost like the weight of the arm, but of course it looks like it's the weight of the arm, but it's actually not. It's the hand standing up. And we were even doing something kind of rotating on a single note, but at very high levels of sound, like forte, fortissimo, and it looks like a turbo version of Dorothy Taubman rotation technique. Like there's a similarity there. So see, all these things they're starting to come together. There's starting to be these connections there that were perhaps inherent before, but not so visible, and things are becoming more obvious, and there's a certain integration going on. After that, 2 weeks in Montreal with Phil Cohen, the complete other end of the spectrum. Very, very, don't hit a key. Never hit a key. Never use anything remotely resembling arm weight, and sit lower, and change the way you use your arm, and the way you use your armpit, and the way you use your ribs, and Kemal's just like, you play the piano when you're sitting up with your ribs. It's ridiculous, but there's an amazing breakthrough happening, because Phil, he's dedicated. He still thinks that I haven't got it. So when I'm not there, he thinks about my playing and comes up with new ways to help me get it. And so, of course, all this I'm passing on to my students. And lately, the last couple of years, there have been a few students where I realized, my God, the area of weakness is not so much the arch of the hand. It's up in the shoulder, and it's in the upper torso, and that whole area. Now, Ludwig Deppe, who's the father of modern piano technique, he's not the father of arm weight technique. He's mistakenly reputed to be that. Breithaupt in Germany and Mathai in England, created arm weight technique. Deppe did not. He did another thing, which is much closer to what we're doing now. And he said, sit lower to stop the arm compressing the hand into the keys. And he said, go to the gym and work out especially the shoulder area, because the shoulders are so involved in playing the piano. So this is exactly how both Kemal and Phil are working with me. So again, not new ideas, but new ways of integrating the ideas that we've been tossing around in very, very effective ways.
That's you recently uploaded. I think you uploaded most of your lessons with Phil, February 2016.
Yeah.
And I watched a few, and to me it looked like a spiritual session.
Mm-hmm.
Almost.
Yeah.
Like he was. Yeah, it was just like it was a spiritual piano experience. It was interesting, and
It's they're very bizarre to watch. I always wonder about people watching this, just judging them as being totally off the wall. But for me, Phil Cohen is the Moshe Feldenkrais of the piano world, and so what he's doing at first glance looks mysterious and perhaps totally wacko, and there's a deep, deep truth hidden in there, which it's my job to make that more palatable and more understandable, more comprehensible. And yet I lose some of the magic when I do that, when I dummy it down to a certain extent, and then, okay, maybe it's more understandable, but also it's not quite as potent as Phil's doing, which is, like you said, it is a very spiritual experience.
It is, yeah, and we have a series on pianotechnique.org,
mm-hmm.
and I have to update it with the latest edition. But yeah, it's I think we'll have about 50 lessons.
Yeah, there are a lot of Phil's lessons are on.
A lot of stuff. Yeah,
you're free to go and be perplexed or fascinated, or whatever. Lord knows, whenever anybody goes to watch those lessons, I haven't a clue what their response is.
Yeah, a few people told me that they learned a lot and they appreciate it, and that it's a completely different experience. Not more than that, but that's the feedback I got.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna start a dedicated series and start publishing it on regular basis. So.
Right. Yeah. Well, I've actually it's been gratifying to hear the people, who've watched those lessons and talked to me about it have all been really positive, which
good.
Very gratifying. But it's a very special and hard to understand experience. But if you just watch something rubs off, even if you don't understand it at all, you'll go back to the piano and you'll play differently. That's the weird.
Yep, for sure.
Now, I also did a 2-day institute in Ottawa at the home of Karen Tenkate, one of my students there. She was very kind to host a couple of days, and met a lot of new Ottawa area pianists, some teachers, some amateurs, and it was a very exciting weekend. Again, I'm always excited to work with new people, because the first lesson, and then you realize here's somebody who's never experienced these ideas before, and how to formulate them and work with the person. That the first experience, it's a really effective one, and that happened because they were all very open, and it was a very gratifying weekend for me. And I also did one in Concord, New Hampshire, which is going to be the site of the second Summer Institute this year. So it had some new people.
Nice.
And now, Smith College, that's the flagship institute. So the Smith College Alan Fraser Piano Institute in 2011 was the first ever. And they've changed management, and they're upping the price of the concert hall there to exorbitant levels. So this is probably the last year that we'll be able to do the Smith College Institute in Earl Hall. So I'm putting out a special invitation to any Smith alumnus and anybody else who's interested, because Smith College is always special. And it's in the third week in June, and it's going to be probably the last time this year. We're looking for ways to have it continue, but we're not sure that that's going to happen. So that's an announcement that I'd like to make for the future. Then other activities. This summer I've been invited to present at the International Society for Music Education conference in Glasgow, Scotland. And they've invited me to present not one, not two, but 3 different topics. So I'll be doing the Rachmaninoff Sonata Goethe's Faust lecture recital. I'll also be doing a lecture on the ideas that I've been developing over the years, and a 3rd poster session on Feldenkrais for musicians. That is, not just pianists, but all performing musicians. So effective ways even non-Feldenkrais practitioners can use the Feldenkrais ideas to improve musical performance and get rid of some of the physical anomalies that we see all the time.
Great.
So but before ISME, that's at the end of July, I'll be presenting also at the Feldenkrais Guild, the North American Feldenkrais Guild annual conference in Asheville, North Carolina. And there I'm doing a big half-day workshop on, again, Feldenkrais for pianists and other instrumentalists and singers. Just all the ideas I've been working on it. They'll be mostly practitioners, but also there'll be members of the general public. So we'll do a workshop and just see how much you can open up a voice, how much you can enrich the sonority of an oboe player, how much you
love to see that.
How much you can eliminate pain in a violinist's wrist, and
are we going to have recordings of those?
That's all going to be recorded. So we'll have
beautiful. Great.
And then in November, I'm presenting at the Ohio Music Teachers Association. And again, I'll be featured speaker there and playing a recital and doing some master classes and workshops. So that's it for my convention. My convention, apart from my own institutes, that's all the outside appearances that I have this year, 2016.
Great. Awesome. Yeah, man. Good stuff. Yeah.
So is that enough for now?
I think it's good. I'm gonna do like an intro and possibly outro. Well, explain. Yeah.
As you notice, I'm actually trying to talk about the ideas and not just be newsy, but put some content in, which is
no. It's good. It's good. It's great because it's really good because I don't think I can hold a conversation with you about all of this yet. And it's good that you're talking about it.
Yeah, look at the questions that
Jeffrey.
Look at the questions Jeffrey asked.
Yeah.
And the last several questions he never got to. So all that interview material I sent you, that was only the first the half of the whole list of questions.
I see.
So we could always continue that list of questions.
Yeah, we can do that, or I can like the next one. I could just use that and just have you talk. I don't even need to call you for the next one, which is going to be like in a month and a half. So this is a good one, like for a few months, I think.
Okay.
Always
happy to do it because I think.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna do a shameless plug for you at the beginning and at the end, and we have like enough material. I think. Yeah, it's good. Great.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I think if I missed anything, but I can't remember anything else. I could talk a little bit about Matt Rubenstein, but I don't want to mention any names.
Yeah, it's okay.
Just
Yeah.
the idea that people can come here and have a lesson.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good idea, and the Skype lessons as well. That people don't know that you actually do that. So that's.
You want to hit record again, and I'll talk a little bit.
Yeah, it's still recording actually. I never stopped. So.
I hope you will edit this.
I will edit this for sure. I'm making notes so I know where to edit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I've had a very fine pianist from Berlin come to visit here in Belgrade. We actually found an Airbnb place in Belgrade that has a piano, so he could actually practice, apart from the lessons. And my daughter has a piano in her room too, so that it's even possible, perhaps, to practice on the second piano in there. But there are possibilities for people who come. This guy, he's a very, very fine pianist, very busy professionally, so it just all the scheduling, notwithstanding the number of institutes I'm now doing in Europe, he just could not make his schedule work to attend any of those. So he finally just said, look, I'm just going to get on a plane and come and see you. So, of course, the hidden added plus in that is that we had the third lesson in Novi Sad, not here in Belgrade, so we got to play on Wonderland with Steinway. And now he's coming back, and he says, next time we're just doing it in Novi Sad. So, on which side his bread is buttered. Anyway, that was a very, very nice experience, and also doing it was quite Skype lessons. I think the physical experience of having been guided to actually manipulate the keys in these new ways is very, very important. But the Skype lesson was a challenge because it was kind of like giving an awareness through movement lesson rather than giving a functional integration lesson in Feldenkrais, the difference between the group lessons and the private sessions. And I found that I had to be clearer in my own thinking. I had to know, why am I touching this person's hands like that and guiding it to do this way? What's the inner process that I'm trying to evoke? And can I evoke that same inner process with words? And having succeeded in that, I find that the student understands better. Because when I guide the hand and this and that, then it's a great experience, but they don't know what the hell's going on. It's kind of like me with Phil. And when I have to explain it clearly, and of course I can show them, on Skype, at my piano, what I want from them, but mostly I'm saying, listen, do it like this, or the wrist should be doing it, and it's turned out that it's a very effective way of working. So I've got several people working with me regularly on Skype. It's amazing because one's in Mexico City, one's in Brazil, one's in Indonesia. One's in New York. I mean, it's insane. I mean, what a world we live in, where you can just. I gave a Skype lesson to a guy in Seattle a while back, so you can just get on the internet and just talk with somebody anywhere and teach them piano. It's very exciting. So I am very pleased at the way the Skype lessons are working out. There's a lot to be said for the clarity and intentionality which the medium necessitates. Mm-hmm. So we took a possible flaw, possible disability, and turned it into an ability.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Thinking we should make something on pianotechnique.org where people could schedule a Skype lesson with you, like some kind of system.
Yeah.
And have it there basically. But I have to think about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be cool. Great.